Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. Okay, if you follow my channel, you've probably seen a few reviews on Rough Ryder Reserve knives. They were knives that I bought, and for the most part, the reviews were less than stellar, I would say. I did not have these knives. I did not give any of the Rough Ryder review knives a glowing review. This one was shown in an unboxing. I talked a little bit about it and thought at the time that this is probably the best of the Rough Ryder Reserve knives that I have bought so far. It came in at $40. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that when I talk about Rough Ryder knives, not the Rough Ryder Reserve, but the Rough Ryder knives, I have often followed along with the mantra that for their price, they're about the best knife you're going to be able to buy. This one was right around $20, and I do think with the way this is dressed up and everything else, you're not going to find a knife of better quality at that price. You're just not. And it does rival knives that cost more than the $20 that you're going to pay for it. So that's why it's like best bang for your buck, or whatever you want to say, when it comes to Rough Ryder knives. A lot of people refuse to buy them simply because they're made out of China, and they're going to immediately scream, it's just Chinese junk, you should buy American, blah, blah, blah. I'm not one of those people. I'm not crazy about giving money to China, but I'm reviewing the knife and saying what quality it is. With the Rough Ryder Reserve knives, some people were trying to say that these were as good as a Great Eastern knife, and I beg to differ with them on that. And typically what I would be doing with the Rough Ryder Reserve knives was comparing them to the regular Rough Ryder knives, and are they worth the 2 or 3 times more that you're paying compared to a Rough Ryder knife? And the answer was almost always no. You're better off just buying a regular Rough Ryder than a Rough Ryder Reserve. The one exception to that general rule that I have is with this particular Barlow, and I will explain why in just a second. But first, I want to show you another Smoky Mountain Knife Works house brand, and that is this Colonel Coon, which is made in the United States, and I have done a video on this knife already in the past. And this knife, originally the Colonel Coon knives from Smoky Mountain Knife Works were being made by Queen Cutlery, but when Queen Cutlery folded, they went and had the Colonel Coon knives made by Baron Son, and this looks remarkably like a Baron Son Barlow, which looks remarkably like a Camillus Barlow, right down to the nail poles and the half stops and everything else. The difference between this and the Baron Son Barlows is this uses a 420 HC steel as opposed to 440 or carbon steel in the blades. Baron Son, I like the Baron Son Barlows. I think they're pretty well made, and this was also fairly well made. But you notice it's all stainless steel and everything else. You've got the yellow Delrin covers. They also made it with a walnut wood handle. Both of them had 420 steel, and they both went for right around $40 new, which is the same price that you're getting with this Rough Ryder Reserve Barlow, which is made in China. Has brass liners on the backside, brushed stainless steel bolsters, nickel silver arrow shield here, and instead of 440A, I'm sorry, instead of 420, you're getting D2 tool steel out of China. And you're also getting a different blade shape for it, and a micarta handle. Now, I'm not a big fan of micarta. I think we all know that. But this one looks pretty good because of the coloring of the micarta. I like the tan micarta better than the black. You never know what the quality of the micarta is, but this seems to be a better grade of Barlow. I'm sorry, a better grade of micarta than what you have on the regular Rough Ryder lineup of micarta handled knives. Some of which have a paper micarta. This one, I believe, looks like a burlap micarta, a brown burlap micarta. But really, what I really like most about this, and why I really think this is one of those knives where you actually do get your bang for your buck for it, is just the differences in the Rough Ryder Barlows. Notice these, they have the totally rounded bolster, which I've really never cared for. I don't like the looks of that rounded bolster, and I have complained about that in the past. This one has a nice squared off bolster. Not as well finished as what you find on other squared off bolsters. I mean, if you see here, this one is from Queen, and you notice that it is got that little a little bit of pinching going on there, or chamfering, whatever you want to call it. It's a little pinched right there, so you have that edge going on, and this one doesn't have that. You see, everyone says these are made by Brother, and they very well may be made by Brother, the Rough Ryder Reserve line of knives. It does. There's a lot of comparison there to make you think that. This is also kind of rounded off at the top here. So that is one of the cost-saving things that they've done compared to a Brother knife, despite these being a comparable price to the Brother knives. If you like Brother knives, I think you'll like the Rough Ryder Reserve line of knives because of how well they're made. Comparing it to the bolster on a case knife, you can definitely see the differences in the bolster. The case one is much flatter. It does have the little pinch going on there, and a much slimmer line. Both of these knives have a spear blade, just a single spear blade. So they're very close in comparison, but you can see the slight differences between them also. Also, price-wise, the case was going for, I believe, like $54 versus $39.99. I believe this one was $54. But this one, well made. The blade is nice and tight. You can see the spear blade going on there. You've got the Case logo into the bolster. Now, Case made them also with shields. They made them without shields. Sometimes they had marks in the bolster, sometimes they didn't. The only Case bolsters, the only Barlows I bought from Case, I bought two of them. Both of them had a spear blade. One of them had a secondary blade also, but both of them had the logo in the shield. In the bolster, which is the way I feel a Barlow should be done. That is my only complaint about this one, is that instead of putting this arrowhead up in the bolster, they put a nickel silver shield on with it. And you have a smooth, plain bolster with double rings. If we open it up, you can see a nice full belly on that spear blade. You got a nice swedge. I don't mind the swedge on this blade either, because the blade is thick enough to handle the swedge, and you do have a good cutting point there then. And you see how much wider that blade is. You know, it's got a nice wide belly going on with it, so it's a really nice blade on it. And let's take a look at my Queen here. No swedge on the Queen. Does have the half stop. See the difference in the blades. I gotta tell you, looks wise, this blade really looks better. Now the Queen here is using a 1095 carbon steel, so not a bad steel on there. This one has a secondary secondary Wharncliffe blade. finish wise, it's hard to beat bone, especially a nice bone handle. So I like the bone on both of these knives better than the micarta here. If this would have a natural material for the handle cover here, that would be fantastic. But look at the finish there. See that? It's really good. You've got the brass liners, nice thick brass liners. They are thicker than the liners that you see on the case knife. See the difference in thickness? Which makes it a little bit heavier, but not so much that it's a problem. You have a lanyard hole on here, which I guess some people might like it, and I'm a big fan of lanyard holes, but I'm not a big fan of a lanyard hole on a Barlow. I don't know why they chose to put the lanyard hole on the Barlow, or I'm sorry, correction, lanyard tube. If it's got a liner in it, which this one does, it has a brass tube going through there, so it's considered a lanyard tube. If there was no tube but just a hole, then it's a lanyard hole. Got the nickel silver pins. A nice full bolster too. I mean, that bolster is definitely a third of the handle, which is your typical traditional American style Barlow with the large bolster like that. As a matter of fact, is that bolster? It's a bigger bolster than what you have on the case knife, and it's also slightly larger than the case knife. Slightly smaller than the Queen, so somewhere in between. What was the length of this thing? Yeah, right at 3 3/8 of an inch. So, which is the same measurement that they give for the case knife, 3 3/8 inch. So it might be an optical illusion. But all in all, I'm really impressed with this one. This is definitely my favorite of all of the Rough Ryder Reserve knives that I have picked up so far. I'm not one of those people who bought them all. I will not be one of those people who buy them all. But if they were to come out with other single-bladed Barlows in the Rough Ryder Reserve lineup, other than micarta, I would definitely buy them. I would like to see a couple different blade options on it. But these, yeah, this is one where they definitely hit the ball out of the park with. They could lose the lanyard hole. That would probably save them a little bit of money, which would allow them to come out with other natural materials. Curly birch would be beautiful in this, and it'd be great to see the do it without the shield. It doesn't need the shield. It doesn't. You don't even need to engrave the bolster. Just get rid of the shield, and this thing would be so much better. I gotta tell you, right there, does that side not look better than that side? To me, it does. So you don't need a shield with a Barlow, and that would just give you even a little bit more handle to show off. The shield here takes up a good chunk of the handle there. Those would be my advice. That would be my advice to Rough Ryder with the Rough Ryder Reserve Barlows. Get rid of the shield. Get rid of the lanyard hole. Give a couple different blade options other than a Warncliffe, other than a Sheepfoot. You know, there is absolutely nothing wrong with putting a clip blade on a couple of these knives. And a really, especially if you were to put an English style clip blade onto this Barlow handle, man, that would be really sweet. Really sweet. Any case, that's my thought on this Rough Ryder Barlow. I will, last time I did not give the specs or anything on it. I will do it in the slideshow with this one though. So stay tuned. me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.